For most people, the word debt triggers a feeling of cold dread. It is a four-letter word synonymous with struggle, with slavery, with a heavy chain that limits our freedom. We are taught from our earliest age to fear it, to avoid it at all costs. And for the vast majority, that is wise advice. But in the world of The Alchemist, this is a half-truth. And a half-truth is the most dangerous lie of all. Welcome to the fourth chapter of The Alchemist's Ledger, the law of multiplication. Today, we take that object of fear, debt, and we place it on the workbench. We will discover that debt is not inherently good or evil. It is a form of fire. In the hands of a child, it is a tool of destruction. But in the hands of a master, it is the force that can forge an empire from a single stone. In this chapter, we will learn to be the master. We will decode the two faces of debt and reveal the precise methods the wealthy use to wield this fire to their advantage, multiplying their fortunes at a speed that is impossible to achieve with their own capital alone. This is the secret of the lever.
The ancient Greek mathematician Archimedes once made a boast that has echoed through the centuries. He said, "Give me a lever long enough and a fulcrum on which to place it, and I shall move the world." This was not a boast about physical strength, it was a statement about a fundamental law of the universe, the power of leverage. With the right tool, a single small force can command an object of immense, impossible weight. The lever does not create energy, it multiplies it. The alchemist understands that their own capital, their own power, is finite. It is a small force in a world of giants. To achieve a result that is disproportionate to their own effort, they require a force multiplier. That multiplier is the great lever of strategic debt. In this model, the borrowed capital is the lever itself. The asset you are acquiring, the business, the real estate, is the fulcrum, the stable point on which the lever pivots. And your own small investment is the gentle, steady pressure you apply to one end. The result is that you, a single individual, can command and control an asset 100 times your own weight. You can move the world. But the lever is a law of physics, and it is brutally indifferent. It amplifies force in both directions. While it can lift a treasure, it can also crush the one who wields it unwisely. If the fulcrum breaks, if the asset fails, the lever amplifies the force of that failure with the same dispassionate power. This is why the amateur, who does not understand the physics of this tool, is so often destroyed by it. And this brings us to the most profound shift in understanding. The amateur believes they must personally carry the immense weight of the debt, and so they are crushed by the psychological burden of it. They see $1 million loan and feel $1 million of weight on their own shoulders. The alchemist sees it for what it is, a simple machine. It is a tool separate from the self, like a hammer or a telescope. They are not burdened by the weight of the lever, they are empowered by the force it directs. Their focus is entirely on the strength and stability of the fulcrum, the quality of the asset. By removing their ego and their fear from the equation, they can wield this tool with the cold, detached precision of a master engineer. They understand that the difference between a lever that builds an empire and a lever that crushes a man to dust lies not in the lever itself, but in the wisdom and discipline of the hand that guides it.
The alchemist's great lever, strategic debt, is a tool of immense power. But before one can learn to wield it, one must first learn to distinguish it from its evil twin, its corrupt shadow. For the word debt, as the world uses it, is a lie. It is a single name given to two profoundly different forces, a chain and a key. To mistake one for the other is the most common and catastrophic error in the world of finance. This is the lesson of the two debts. First, we must understand the chains of consumption. This is the debt that the world knows and fears. It is the credit card balance that swells from buying clothes and dinners. It is the car loan that finances a depreciating piece of metal. It is the personal loan for an exotic vacation. This is consumer debt, and its singular purpose is to pull your future into your present. It allows you to enjoy a lifestyle today that you have not yet earned, and the price you pay is your own freedom tomorrow. This debt is a leak in the vessel of your life. Every month, a portion of your vital energy, your income, which you traded your precious time to acquire, does not go toward building your future. Instead, it leaks out to pay for the ghosts of your past consumption. The car's value has fallen, the memory of the vacation has faded, but the chain remains. It is a heavy, relentless anchor. Every month, you are forced to drag it forward, and it gets heavier with the corrosive weight of interest. The person shackled by this debt is not a capitalist. They are a modern-day serf, working a significant portion of their life, not for themselves or their family, but for the bank that holds their chain. This debt is born from emotion, from impatience, from the desire for social status, from the need for instant gratification. It is the great tool of enslavement.
But the alchemists, when they speak of debt, are speaking a different language entirely. They speak of the key to the kingdom. This is strategic debt. Its singular purpose is not to consume, but to conquer. It is never used to buy a liability. It is used exclusively to acquire an asset. This is the mortgage on an income-producing rental property. This is the loan used to purchase a profitable cash-flowing business. This debt is not a weight on your shoulders. It is an army of soldiers under your command. It is a clone of yourself, sent out into the world to work for you. When you use your own $100,000 to buy a $100,000 asset, you have one worker. When you use that same $100,000 as a down payment to acquire a $1 million asset with a loan, you now command 10 workers. You have multiplied your power by a factor of 10. And here is the beautiful, profound difference. The cash flow from the asset, the rent from the tenants, the profits from the business is what pays the monthly service on the debt. The asset itself works to pay for its own acquisition. Consumer debt is a chain that forces you to work for the bank. Strategic debt is a key that unlocks an asset that works for the bank on your behalf while you get to keep the asset. One is a transaction where you trade your future freedom for a fleeting present comfort. The other is a transaction where you command the bank's capital to build your future empire. One is a prison, the other is a weapon. The master alchemist does not fear fire. They have simply learned to distinguish the wildfire that consumes from the focused flame of the forge that creates.
We have drawn the line between the chain and the key. We understand the profound difference between the two debts. Now, we must learn to turn the key. We must enter the engine room of the alchemist's workshop and see the great lever in action. This is the practical, mathematical magic of the multiplier effect. To witness this, let us observe two men, each with $100,000 of their own capital to invest in a growing real estate market. The first man is a prudent, conservative investor. He fears debt. He takes his $100,000 and buys a single, excellent property for its full price in cash. He now owns 100% of a $100,000 asset. He has no debt. He sleeps soundly. The second man is the alchemist. He understands the power of the lever. He takes his same $100,000, but he does not buy a single property. Instead, he uses it as a 20% down payment to acquire a $500,000 property. The bank, seeing the quality of the asset, happily provides the remaining $400,000 as strategic debt. He too owns a magnificent asset, but he controls one 5 times larger than the first man. Now, let 1 year pass. The real estate market is strong, and both properties appreciate in value by a conservative 10%. Let us return to the first man. His $100,000 property is now worth $110,000. He has made a profit of $10,000. On his initial investment of $100,000, this represents a respectable 10% return. He is pleased.
Now let us return to the alchemist. His $500,000 property has also appreciated by 10%. 10% of $500,000 is $50,000. The alchemist has made a profit of $50,000. Observe this moment closely. Both men started with the same capital. They invested in the same market with the same rate of appreciation. But the alchemist generated 5 times the profit. Why? The first man achieved a 10% return on his own money. The alchemist achieved a 10% return on the bank's money. His own initial investment of $100,000 has generated a $50,000 profit. That is not a 10% return. It is a 50% return on his capital. He did not work 5 times harder. He was not 5 times smarter. He simply used a better tool. He used the great lever. The debt did not weigh him down. It lifted him up. The asset itself is what secures the loan, and the cash flow from the asset is what services it. He has multiplied his own force, his own capital, by a factor of 5. This is the multiplier effect. It is the cold, hard mathematical equation that explains how the great fortunes of the world are built. They are not built by the slow, linear addition of one's own savings. The great lever, as we have seen, is a tool of almost supernatural power, but it is brutally indifferent. It amplifies failure as powerfully as it amplifies success. In a falling market, the force of that lever can turn against its wielder, crushing them with breathtaking speed. The amateur, hearing this, becomes terrified of the lever. They see only the risk. The alchemist, however, does not fear the lever, because they know that with every great weapon there must come a great shield. That shield, the defensive counterpart to the offensive power of leverage, is the single most important concept in strategic investing. It is called cash flow. To understand its protective power, let us return to our story, but this time we will change the weather. The alchemist has just used their $100,000 to acquire a $500,000 orchard, but now a panic sweeps the land. A brutal recession hits. The perceived market price of all orchards plummets by a staggering 30%. The amateur investor, who owns their small orchard outright, sees their net worth fall from $100,000 to $70,000. They are wounded, but they survive. The speculator, who also used leverage but did not understand this next principle, is wiped out. Their $500,000 asset is now worth only $350,000, far less than the $400,000 loan they owe. The bank calls their loan, and they are forced to sell, losing everything. But the alchemist remains calm. Amidst the storm, they are untouched. Why? Because the alchemist did not buy an orchard for its market price. They bought it for its harvest. They knew that this orchard produces a steady, predictable crop of 10,000 bushels of fruit every single year. The cash from selling that fruit is more than enough to pay the annual service on the bank loan and still leave a handsome profit for the alchemist to live on. While their neighbors are panicking about the falling price of orchards, the alchemist is asking a completely different and far more important question. Are the trees still producing fruit? And the answer is yes. The storm of the market, the emotional panic of the other investors, cannot stop the sun from shining or the trees from growing. The cash flow from the harvest is real. It is a tangible, physical reality. The market price of the orchard, on the other hand, is just an opinion. It is a fleeting number on a piece of paper, dictated by the temporary fear of the herd. The cash flow is the shield. It pays the debt, removing the threat of the bank calling the loan. It provides the income that allows the alchemist to ignore the market's madness and simply wait for the storm to pass. The cash flow is the anchor of reality in a sea of emotional speculation. It allows you to hold the asset indefinitely, giving you the power to outlast any crisis. You are not forced to sell at the bottom because the asset itself is paying for its own survival. This is the profound secret that separates the master from the amateur. The amateur asks, how much is it worth? The alchemist asks, how much does it produce? The first question leads to speculation and anxiety. The second leads to security and true lasting wealth. It is the shield that makes the sword safe to wield.
Before you can understand the key, you must first feel the weight of the chain. You must understand the nature of the prison that the majority of the world willingly builds for itself, brick by financial brick. This is the first and most common form of debt, and its true name is not credit. Its true name is the chains of consumption. The modern world is a grand theater of consumption, a relentless machine designed to make you feel inadequate. It whispers from every screen that your happiness, your status, your very worth as a person is just one purchase away. And it offers you a Faustian bargain, a magic wand to close that gap instantly. That wand is consumer debt. It is the credit card that pays for the dinner you can't quite afford. It is the car loan that puts you in a vehicle that impresses your neighbors. It is the financing plan for the vacation that will look so perfect on social media. This debt is a time machine, but it only travels in one direction. It pulls a piece of your future into your present. It allows you to enjoy a lifestyle today that you have not yet earned, and the price you pay is your own freedom tomorrow. This is not a metaphor. It is a mathematical certainty. When you buy a $1,000 television with a credit card, you have not made a simple purchase. You have opened a leak in the vessel of your life. Every month, a portion of your vital energy, your income, which you traded your precious time on this earth to acquire, does not go toward building your future. Instead, it leaks out to pay for the ghost of that television. And here's the cruelest part of the design. The chain grows heavier on its own. The force of compound interest, which should be your greatest ally, is turned against you, becoming your most relentless enemy. That $1,000 television, paid for with minimum payments, can end up costing you $1,500, $2,000. But the alchemist does not measure the cost in dollars, they measure it in life. If you earn $50 an hour, that television did not cost you 20 hours of your life. After interest, it may have cost you 30 or even 40 hours. You have voluntarily traded an entire week of your finite, unrecoverable existence on this planet for a depreciating plastic screen. Consumer debt is a system that tricks you into selling your future freedom at a steep discount. You become a serf to your past self. You wake up every morning and go to work, not to build the life you want, but to pay for the lifestyle you've already consumed. The alchemist sees this not as a financial tool, but as a psychological disease, a self-imposed prison where the bars are forged from your own impatience and the lock is the approval of others. They understand that you cannot begin the great work of building an empire until you have first broken these chains.
The great lever has now been placed in your hands. You understand its physics. You can distinguish the key from the chain. You know that the shield of cash flow is what makes this power safe to wield. This is one of the most guarded principles in the Alchemist's Ledger. It is the mathematical engine that drives the creation of all great fortunes. It is a dangerous and transformative secret. Thank you for joining us inside CapitalSanctum. But what is the ultimate purpose of this great multiplication? What is the alchemist truly trying to create with all this leverage and all these assets? The final product is not more gold. It is the distillation of gold into something far more precious. It is the elixir of absolute freedom. In our next chapter, the final installment of this series, we will explore the principle of distillation. We will learn how to extract the essence of true autonomy from your assets and finally achieve the great work's ultimate goal. To learn how to transform your wealth into a life of purpose and freedom, subscribe to CapitalSanctum and complete the alchemist's journey.